Hanover Square Press and HarlequinAudio present The Watchdog: How the Truman Committee Battled Corruption and Helped Win World War II by Steve Drummond. This is the author. Introduction. Portland, Oregon, January 16, 1943. Saturday night was quieter than usual in war-booming Portland. A cold snap on Friday had killed 2 people in a storm that brought high winds and left a thin blanket of snow across the city. Temperatures were expected to sink into the low 20s. At the Swan Island shipyard in the northern part of the city, the brand-new tanker ship SS Schenectady floated gently in calm water, tied up at the fitting-out pier. The 16,500-ton vessel was a source of pride and wonder for the new shipyard and for the whole city. At 523 feet long and 68 feet wide, it was the largest cargo ship ever built on the Pacific coast, and the first of 147 tankers that would head down the Willamette River and off to war. Fully loaded, the ship could carry 6 million gallons of fuel, and by pre-war standards, it had been built in no time. The keel was laid on July 1, and the hull launched on October 24. 20,000 workers watched that day as it slid down the rails and into the river, her bow still dripping champagne. Schenectady was declared finished on New Year's Eve, 2.5 months ahead of schedule. The ship and the shipyard that built it were just 2 examples of the miracles of war production taking place across the United States, achievements that would soon help turn the tide on battlefields around the world. Outside Detroit, Henry Ford had built a giant airplane factory with an assembly line a mile long. The plant would eventually produce thousands of massive 4-engine bombers. At its peak, a finished B-24 Liberator rolled off the line at the incredible rate of 1 every 63 minutes. Liberty ships, the cargo vessels that, along with fuel tankers like the Schenectady, would move the guns and food and planes and millions of tons of equipment across the oceans to the front lines, were being produced in ever greater numbers in shorter amounts of time. Driven by the innovations of shipbuilder Henry J. Kaiser, the first of them took 230 days to build. Eventually, the average would drop to just over a month. To build these cargo ships and tankers, new shipyards were needed, and they began appearing in coastal cities seemingly overnight: Seattle, Los Angeles, Vancouver, Jacksonville. In little more than a year, Kaiser had transformed Swan Island, once home to Portland's municipal airport, into a sprawling construction operation with thousands of men and women working shifts around the clock. One big challenge was getting all those workers to and from their jobs and finding housing for them when they weren't working. The first dormitories at the shipyard had opened in November, and 900 workers moved into what would eventually be enough space for 5,000. A new ferry system was nearly completed that would shuttle workers to and from the yards. The Schenectady was the first ship laid down at the new facility, and it was a new kind of ship. Instead of being riveted together, the thick steel plates of these oil tankers, as with the cargo-carrying Liberty ships, were welded, a process that was faster, was less expensive, and needed fewer highly skilled workers. These new techniques were paying off. The Schenectady in late December had finished its sea trials and was declared fit for duty. On January 10, the shipyard had turned it over to the U.S. Maritime Commission, and at 3:30 p.m. on the 16th, the ship's new captain, V.P. Marshall, had officially taken charge. He was not on board that evening, though about 30 crewmen were, as the ship was being loaded and prepared for its first voyage. The sound, when it came at 10:25 p.m., was heard as far as a mile away. Guards at the shipyard felt the ground shake. It sounded...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?